And welcome again, everyone, to another edition of the BIS podcast, broadcasting live on the Marvin Network, where our goal is to bring you updates in local government, technology, and to mix in a little bit of fun as well. Back on the podcast with us today is one of our favorites, and that is Brandon Lewis, the cybersecurity guru, as we call him. Brandon, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
No problem at all. Is it, for you to be called a guru of something, does that kind of add to your list of great accomplishments in life?
No, just pressure.
Just pressure? Oh, come on, man. Let me tell you, folks, this guy defines pressure. If there's pressure on him, he is as cool as a kitten.
Oh my gosh. You're so funny. Thank you.
No problem at all, Brandon. As we always have you on, we're, folks that have listened to the podcast before, when we have Brandon on, we're usually talking about cybersecurity, and that's what we're doing again today, folks, because you can never be too careful when it comes to cybersecurity, and Brandon and I are going to discuss a few general things today on cybersecurity. And so, Brandon, as we always talk about, you never can be too careful. You want to make sure that your processes regarding cybersecurity are always up to date, and you're making sure that you keep those processes, stable, and you're aware at all times.
Right. Absolutely. One of the, talking in a general standpoint, right, for this podcast today, one of the things that is so crucial to a company's or an organization's overall strategy is employee training, right? Obviously the first thing that we want to do is we want to stop attacks or stop or put up defenses to protect us, right? Well, we also know historically that no one solution is 100% effective. And so when there is an attack, or whether it's real or perceived, it's important that the employees are also trained not just to stop it, but also what happens if it gets through. Like, to whom should they direct those incidents to? Because time is really important, right? So when we want to make sure that they not only know how to recognize it, but also be able to communicate that effectively to their IT provider, their supervisor, so that they can limit the exposure for that particular incident.
Absolutely, Brandon. And you always mention, as a key thing you hit on every time we talk is backups, backups, backups. It's a funny thing. Me and my wife the other night, we really kind of got into Young Sheldon, and we're watching it the other night. It's the episode where he got a video game for his computer. He actually got it for a little bit cheaper because he kind of bought it bootleg, puts it in, and it ended up being corrupted and put a virus on his computer. And he, again, called the help desk. Now, this takes place for anybody that's not watched Young Sheldon. It takes place back in the early 90s. So, you had the floppy disk games, you put it in, and he calls the help desk. I think he was on hold for about 30 minutes. Of course, here at BIS, we're always, quick and on the point. But again, this was a long time ago, back when just, everything was getting started technology-wise. And, he didn't back everything up, or he actually put in a disk for his backups, but it got corrupted as well. So making sure that you have everything backed up once, twice, even 3 times to make sure everything is there just in case something happens. Am I right in saying that, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I can go 5 minutes in a conversation without mentioning backups. They're so important, especially in a disaster recovery incident where your data, if a client is compromised, your organization gets compromised, and the ransomware begins to start encrypting your data. Backups is what is going to save you from having to shell out however much money they're going to be trying to ransom that unencryption key for, is going to be so much better for you in the long run, is to have backups. Yeah.
Absolutely, Brandon. Indeed, we talk about backups all the time. What is one of the things now, Brandon, where something you're seeing out there that's kind of new, that's kind of something for people to really be aware of, when they're logging on, especially if they're on something they're not sure they're supposed to be on. What's something new that you're seeing out there that hackers are really kind of tempting people to dupe them in a way?
it's not so much new. I can kind of generalize what I've been seeing in our environments is social engineering, or what people might say is an attack on trust, so to speak. Because I mean, all of us, we're pretty trusting people, right? And we don't always we're not normally suspicious in our day-to-day work as we're going through and getting things done and processing, emails that come in, whether it's from vendors or clients or other people in your organization. Business email compromise still is one of the more pervasive, I guess, attacks that we see. And what that is someone takes over or either spoofs the identity or makes it look like an email is coming from a sender when it's not, in order to be able to leverage the other person's trust or failure to identify that it's a scam in order to be able to, either it's scam money. We've seen where someone will email or even text, if they can socially engineer getting people's cell phone numbers, that they'll say, oh, hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I need you to go and buy, $100 gift cards, 50 quantity. We're going to pass these out for a new promotion, blah, 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 or whatever. And that person will then try to get that employee to go out and get those gift cards. It's like, oh, just send me the numbers for them and the activation codes and I'll pass them out, that kind of stuff. That might be a poor example, but essentially what they're doing is they're attacking our trust of people, and especially people within our organization, to be able to get, to be able to profit from that fraudulent means, right?
No, absolutely, Brandon. Again, as you talked about, for our, for everyone out there, we get tons of emails a day, and sometimes we're working through so
So
many
many.
we don't even know, and we come across one, and it may look a little bit different. Like, oh well, I see this person all the time. I'm gonna go ahead and respond to it. Oh, they sent me a link. I'll go ahead and click on it. It's just so important, if you see something and it just doesn't look up to par with what you usually see, always, think twice before just clicking on it. Report it to your IT, make sure that they're taking a look at it to make sure it's safe, because even I'll get emails sometimes, and I'll always, if it's from, especially if it's something internal, and again, if it doesn't look as I think it would look if they sent me something before, I'll always just double check with them. Hey, did you send this? Did you not send this? Always just making sure and keeping up to date on stuff, and to make sure you double check with somebody that they sent something is the best way probably to make sure that you're not clicking anything spam wise, or even anything that's not supposed to be there.
Right. A lot of organizations have the ability to add disclaimer notices to incoming emails for their employees. BIS utilizes one such strategy that can do that. And if your organization has that capability, we obviously we would want that to. We'd want you to do that to help protect yourself. And that's just one extra step that shows, this email did not come from inside the organization, right? So if it says, let's say, Britton Martin emails me and I see that disclaimer, well, then I know that that email did not come from within the organization, right? You can, Microsoft 365 products have that ability to do that. There's other things that we can do to protect against that, but from a very quick standpoint, from a very quick identification, that's usually one of the easiest ways to identify that. Or spoof emails, where it's they're trying to get something from within the organization, money, or oh, we need to repay this vendor this invoice. I have a new address. Those kinds of tactics.
Absolutely, Brandon. Well, we're just about out of time on this edition of the BIS podcast today. Anything that you we need to go over before we kind of sign it off, or anything we need to mention? Is we have you on here talking cybersecurity. Anything we need to mention before we go today?
Backups, backups, backups. And then always have a patching strategy with your IT provider to make sure that your machines have the latest security patches, the latest updates from Microsoft, drivers, all those good things to make sure that your internal security on your machines, you're patching those vulnerabilities as they're identified by the operating system manufacturer.
And that's why we call him the guru of cybersecurity, folks. Again, Brandon, we always appreciate having you on the podcast. And for anyone out there that's interested in kind of boosting up their cybersecurity, we offer those services here at BIS. Please give us a call. Our number is 800-247-9045, or you can email us as well at sales@bisconsultants.com. Brandon, always a pleasure to have you on, sir. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me. I always have a good time with you, Josh.
And we do as well with you, Brandon. Again, we'll look forward to talking with Brandon again on more cybersecurity as we have him on, periodically. And again, folks, we call him the guru. So again, Brandon, thank you for joining us here today. Appreciate it as always, man. And, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys. And for Brandon Lewis, I'm Josh Green. You've been listening to another edition of the BIS podcast, broadcasting live on the Marvin Network. For Brandon again, I'm Josh. We say so long and goodbye.